Hi everyone, Jane here. Thank you for watching today. I am going to be looking at something that you probably don't see me use very much on this channel, and that is some pencils. Now, people who've been around a little while may recognise that I used this pencil case as a travel kit for my holiday in the summer, and I do need to make a video about how I found that and what I've done since, because there's been a few changes to my travel kit. However, I can't show you what that kit's like anymore because I I took everything out because I had a new setup, and I've repurposed it back to its original purpose as a pencil case. Now, I took with me on my travels some Derwent Drawing Pencils, you may remember, and I didn't take all of these, but these were the Derwent Drawing Pencils I had, because at that time the biggest set they had out was a set of 24, and I didn't even want the 24. I bought the set of 12, and then I added in 3 extras. I can't remember which were in the set of 12 and which were the 3 extras, but I did take them with some of the colours with me on my holiday, and I did use them a little bit as mixed media over the top of my watercolour, and I really do like how these feel and the sorts of colours they have. Now, it's a bit of a surprise to me, because actually the pencils I've enjoyed the most in the past have always been a harder pencil, such as the Faber-Castell Polychromos, and those have been the ones I've mostly used. But I have enjoyed these, and I do want to play around with these, especially because of the colours. Now, very recently, if you've been anywhere on YouTube and you follow anybody who does anything with arty materials, you may have noticed that Derwent have brought out a 72 set of their drawing pencil colours. Now, I have said many times on this channel, I'm not a completist. I don't buy whole colour selections of anything. I don't think I've, unless it comes, say, like in the tempera sticks, but then they came just, and then there's other ones. So no, I don't feel the need to buy a whole collection of colours. So I've already got 15 colours. So to me, I know that these are going to probably take me my entire lifetime and beyond for these to get used. So I am not going to buy 72 colours that have 15 that I've already got. And I'm also not going to buy 72 colours if I don't need 72 colours, which I don't feel I do, because I don't use them enough. They're an extra. So what I did recently is the other day, I went on to Derwent's website to order some individual pencils, and I ordered myself 19 colours. Now, I didn't ask for tins. You can build your own tins, but I didn't ask for tins. I just bought them open stock because I didn't buy them in the sets, but they have sent them very nicely in their Derwent tins, which I thought was really rather lovely. That one's got a little bit dinged, maybe that's why, because they would have got bashed around a bit. So I do believe I've got 12 in one, and then whatever you add up to make 19. So seven in the other one. I think that's the lighter one. Now, I used on my order a code that Lindsay Wyrick, the Frugal Crafter, had on her website, on her YouTube channel, when she talked about the 72 set, because she's an ambassador, so she had a code to get 30% off, and I do believe that runs right through to the end of December. So what I will do is, in the description box, I will add a link to the video, because I think it's only fair for you to go and see her video and subscribe to her channel if you're not already subscribed, because she has some fantastic stuff on her channel. And on that video description will be the code that you need to put in to get 30% off. Now, I do believe I checked to make sure it was valid for the UK, because obviously I'm in the UK, so I used it on the UK website and it accepted it fine. So I presume it's also the same. I think they've got a US website, I'm not sure, but I think they did, because I had to change my thing on. No, I was already on the UK, but I think it gave you the options to change. So I'm pretty sure that, well, just check it out. So I did get 30% off. So these are the colours I already have, and these are the colours that I have added. Now I added on a lot of blues and a lot of greens because even I, as a pencil novice, had recognised that in the set that they had, it was very lacking in a variety of greens and very, very lacking in a variety of blues. So those are mostly what I was going for. So let me bring them. Now, they've got this. Actually, I'll take that off first. Let me get my scissors. Ooh, let's go down the side here so that, let's take this plastic off of that one. And these will be coming out and going into here. So, but that will then obviously give me a couple of tins that are always handy to have if I was using them to go anywhere. Oh, there we go. It's just nice to have the tins. I do love a tin. My family will tell you I go anywhere, I do like a tin. Right, so here are these colours. And here are these colours, and these you will see from, I hope you can still hear me, sorry, the original ones, they're very much earth sorts of tones. There was not, even the greens were very muted. Now the whole set is still muted, but there were a couple, so I wanted a more of a red, a more of a yellow, but mostly it was the blues. So I've got 4 more blues there. I wanted a couple of greys. They're actually, ironically, they're not new colours, they're the old colours. But I got a couple of old greys and a new grey there, and then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 greens. So greens was really what I wanted to build up, because if I'm going out and doing plein air painting or anything out in nature, then greens are going to be what I need, and so that was what I really wanted to build up. So what I thought I would do is, on time lapse, because I'm not going to do all this in the real time, is I'm going to rearrange all my colours so that because at the moment these are in the order I want them in here, but I'm now going to add these in. So I'm going to rearrange all my colours, and then something very unusual for me, I'm going to swatch my pencils, because I want to be able to see exactly the colours that are on here. I also thought that would be quite useful if you were contemplating getting some of the colours. Maybe you're like me, you don't want a whole 72 set, because that's mostly what I'm seeing people have, and you might just want to choose a few, and you might want to know exactly what they're going to be like. So I will swatch out all the colours I have. So altogether there's 34. I managed to get a bit of a card that fit in here that fits 35, so I can buy one more. But I can actually buy 2 more, because once these are all in here, they're going to fill up that and 2 from the end of that. So then I've got other pencils in there, so I can fit 2 more in there, but I wouldn't have 2 more spaces on my swatch. That will go in the back, I think. So I might get 2 in the future, who knows. But I thought that would be something a little bit sort of relaxing to do. I might at the end, even still on time lapse, do a little picture. I wanted to do in my little where is it? Let me find it. In my little hot pressed watercolour journal, where I've done my butterfly and I've done my lovely pussycat. I wanted to do one of the fly agaric toadstools, so I might do that in watercolour and then use perhaps the drawing pencils to add some mixed media elements to that as well. Maybe that will be nice to end the video. Will that be too much in one video? No, it's not too much in one video. We'll do that all for one video. Okay, so that's the end of my talky in real time, real life part. I will put in on the screen where I start the swatching and where I start the project, and I will time lapse and voice over the rest of this for you. So I hope you stay tuned, give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the other side. Now, before I moved on to actually swatching out the colours, what I wanted to do was to sort them all out into an order that would work for my swatch chart and that I was going to put into my case. So I sort of sorted out all the greens together, all the blues together, and I was trying to get them into some sort of order to start with. And I decided to sort of get the ones out of the case that were my old colours and then muddle them around with the new colours in the tins until I was happy with the order. So first of all, you see there I put all the greens together in that side, and then I was getting all the blues together, and then all the sort of browns and all the reds and pinks and purples, until I had a set in an order that I was happy with. And that's what I'm doing here now. So I'm putting them in the order that I'm going to put them into my pencil case. Now, they're not probably in a perfect order, but they're in the order that will make sense to me. And that's what I would always say if you're organising any of your supplies. Do what makes sense to you, because you're the one who's going to have to use this, nobody else. So even if other people say, oh, you should put all these colours together and all these colours, whatever, take no notice of that. You do what would make sense to you and what makes it easiest for you. And so here we could have them all in order. So I put them all in the pencil case in the order that I'd sorted them, and then I'd, on my chart, wrote out the colours. Now, I didn't put the numbers down, I just did the colours. So this first one is wheat. This is one of the old colours. And what I did at the end is I went through and ticked all the new colours. So the next one is yellow ochre, another of the older colours. Then we have gold, which is one of the new colours. And of course, if you want to see all the colours, there are lots of other YouTubers who have swatched out the whole 72 set. So next is this one, autumn leaf. This is a beautiful orangey colour. I really wanted an orange tone within my set. And then I also wanted a red. So this is strawberry. I wanted to go for the most reddish red because I already had ruby earth, which is like a very sort of deeper browny red. So the autumn leaf gold and strawberry were all new colours, as is this one, which is dusky pink. So these are all new colours. And then the next one is Mars Violet, which is from the old set. Now I'm going over the colour twice just to make sure that I get a good lay down of the colour, because this is mostly to see the colour. The next one is another new colour, which is burnt rose, a beautiful sort of darker, more plum type colour. And then the next one, ruby earth, is from the old sets as well. Next, we've got a sort of pinky purple in the heather, and this is another one of the new colours. Now, Solway blue is from the old set, and I've always felt it's almost more of a grey than a blue, but it is a blue, but it's a very, very grey leaning blue. The next one is teal blue, which is from the new colours, although I have to say I don't feel it is in any way teal. I don't know why it was named that way. So onto the second sort of page of my pencils, and the next colour is ash blue. Again, quite a greyish blue, but not as grey as the Solway, and that's a new colour. And the next new colour is royal blue. So a lot of the colours that I chose were blues and greens because that's what was missing from the previous set. This one is Delft blue. This is a beautiful darker blue, so almost a little bit purplish. And that's, did I say that was a new colour? I'll say it again. And then this is an older colour. This is the ink blue from the previous collections. And again, this is another beautiful blue. I do really love that blue, but there was only a few in the previous sets. Into the greens now, and this is a new green. This is fresh green, and I did want something that was a bit more brighter. That doesn't sound like good English, but you know what I mean. And another new green, moss green. So I feel they've really rounded out the greens in this set, which is what I really wanted from my pencils. This is from the old set. This is olive earth. Another beautiful earthy muted green. I feel the greens that were previously available were all very, very muted. They brought in some brighter greens this time. And this is another new green. This is rainforest, a lovely deep green. Now these next couple are from the old set, so we've got Pale Cedar, and this is a very sort of beigey green, I feel. And then we've got Green Shadow, which is a bit darker, but is again a very muted green that's from the old set. And then the next two are new greens from the new colours. So we've got Sage Leaf, which is another beautiful green. Do love a sage. And then we've got Fir Green, which is a very deep, as you would probably imagine fir green to be actually. Then we're moving into the earth tones. Now, I didn't buy many, well, I don't think I bought any of the new earth tones, to be fair. These are from the old set. So that one was Brown Ochre, which is a lovely, lovely brown. Then we've got Sanguine, which has got more of an orangey tone to it. Next, we've got Sepia, and then in brackets, red and lovely brown. And then we've got the very, very, very dark brown chocolate, verging towards black, but it is just still in the browns. So I felt I already had a range of browns that I was happy with, and I didn't feel like I needed to get any of the new ones. Now, these two next ones are new to me, but they're not new colours. They were old colours. So this one was Cool Grey, and then the next one is Warm Grey. So they were already available. I just didn't happen to have them. I think I must have just not wanted to buy greys. So the next one is a new colour. So this is also a grey. I felt like I needed to round my greys out. And this one is Granite. Now this next colour is like a very, very, very dark indigo blue. More black than blue, I would have said, and it's called Midnight, and it is a new colour. I felt I could do with another sort of very dark colour to round out those contrasts. And I suddenly realised I was going to come up to white, so I needed something black to colour my white on. And then we've got Ivory Black, which is from the previous colours. Just a nice black. And then finally we have Chinese White, which is an old colour and is a lot of people say one of the best white pencils they can find. I was just drying off my pen and I put it on the white just to see, and then over the black you can see how opaque and beautiful that is. They are very, very lovely and creamy and soft to work with. I do really like the feel of them. I haven't had any problems with breaking. I have had one of the old ones, the wood split a little bit, but I managed to bring it back with sharpening. And here I'm just ticking the ones that are the new colour range. Just because I suddenly thought, oh, maybe you would like to be shown on here which ones were the new colours and which ones are old colours. And I was just counting to make sure I had them all. Now, I did film this. I filmed drawing this out. I thought I filmed drawing this out and watercolouring it. Unfortunately, I'd done what I have done in the past, which is where I switched the camera on by mistake. So then when I think I've switched it on, I then switched it off. So unfortunately, I didn't capture the actual process of drawing and watercolouring, but I did realise before I got to the pencil stage. So I just used a stencil to draw the circles. I found a quote on the internet to do with mushrooms, and it's just a quite funky, fun quote, which I quite enjoyed, and I just sort of developed my own vague font for that. And then on the other page, I just had those two photos that I'd taken recently when we've been going looking for mushrooms in the woodlands, and I sort of incorporated them together along with, I sort of did a mishmash of the leaves to make that one leaf in the corner. I'd used layers of my watercolours to build up the colour, and then I just wanted to add a bit of the drawing pencils over the top. So it's not a massive sort of project involving the pencils, but just to show that even if you don't, because I do struggle with my hands, and using pencils for an entire project would be too hard on them. So I like to use them as a finishing touch, because that way you can get that underneath colour, but you and still get that vibrancy and intensity and extra depth you get with the pencils without having to put in lots and lots and lots of layers and blending, which would be too much for my hands to be able to cope with. So I like to use them in that way. And you get a beautiful blending with these pencils, but also you can get some firmer, finer lines if you use them in the right way. They are a really big core to them, so you get a lot of lay down of pigment, but you can also get some sort of finer lines, which I do in a bit with some sort of grassy areas. So I picked out like the oranges and the orange and the red, so the autumn leaf and the strawberry, and I also had, I think, the yellow ochre in there. I picked out a few of the greens just to add into the leaf, and I picked out a couple of the earth tones. And the wheat is a really good colour. I really love it. It sort of makes me feel like a bit, think of titanium buff or buff titanium. I never know which way around that goes. In my watercolors, which is one of my favorite paints, I have to admit. I find it as really good, especially with nature, and when I'm out doing anything or painting anything to do with nature, buff titanium is a really good color, and I find the wheat is similar. And just to finish off, I wanted to use some acrylic markers. So these are the Copic ones. I used the white and the grey for this, so I think it's cool grey, I'm not sure. So I was going to just go straight on with white on my little mushroom, and then I realized that it was more of a muted dots on that one and more white on the other one. Now, because it's an oily base, the pencils, I can't remember if it's oil or wax, but either way they can then make it a bit more tricky to add things on top of. But acrylic markers generally are pretty good on most products. I wouldn't say all products, because I know that oil pastels are one of those things that you really struggle with anything on top of. So I'm just adding some little dots to really make this very much a mixed media sort of piece. I'm just trying to go by my photo there. I don't know why, because it didn't really matter, but I was trying to make it vaguely look like my photo, because I'd gone to the effort of finding the mushrooms and taking a photo. And the photos, by the way, are printed off with my little, oh goodness, I've said that now, I can't remember. Is it Instamax? It's a little printer that you can print your phone photos off of. And I saw it first on Liz's channel, Buttons for Brains. I'll link her channel in the description below in case you want to go and have a look. She does a lot of art journaling and nature journaling and things like that, so you might be interested in seeing her channel. And it was on her channel I saw the little printer. She uses it to print out photos for her journaling. And here I am just finishing off with a few sort of more harder lines, and I went over with a little bit of white just to add some highlights on that as well. And here's the finished piece. So thank you ever so much. Let me know in the comments if you're interested in the drawing pencils, if you've got them, what you think of them, what colours you would be interested in having if you was to get any. And if you have enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, if you could hit that subscribe button, and you will see a list of my lovely members at the end, where I'll put some more information in the description box about that. So thank you, and until the next time, bye bye.